by Commissioner Summers. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our Assessor Rod Bennett. There he is. And we'll go to that point.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee today as a commission, we appreciate the land that we live in, and for the moisture we've received. We recognize Thy hand in all things. Please bless those people that are less fortunate than we are, those people that are in conflict and in war, and that they, leaders of nations, might have their hearts softened. Please help our leaders of our nation also, that they might be able to find ways to not only help our people, but those people abroad. Please bless our law enforcement officers that put their lives on the line every day when they go to work. Please bless them, that they will go home after their duty and find all well they're there. We appreciate living in this free land and for the things that it affords us and our families. And we appreciate also the pioneers that came to this land and gave us an opportunity to be free and to do the things that we need to do. Heavenly Father, please bless us with all the things that we stand in need of. And we say these things in my Son Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and join me on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's see. Did you gentlemen receive the minutes for our April 20th meeting?
Did. I'll make a motion, we approve the April 20th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Any prior agenda items or anything we need to bring up? Any administrative review reports?
I don't think I've
I
got
can
any.
think of.
Okay. Emergency management. Life is good right now. Bring on the rain. ARPA, we've had a couple of applications come in. Marla, can we put that on the next agenda to discuss a couple of the applications that have come in?
When is the next tranche supposed to come in? Do we know?
July?
August, something like that.
Okay. Checks in the mail. Yeah, I think it's July, but anyway. The one that we did have, we can't fund yet until we receive that. So I guess we can look at a couple of these other ones and go from there. So, all right. Let's see. Commish, you want to take this first one? Commissioner Summers?
Yeah. Grab that. Skylar, you want to come up here, buddy? Come walk around back here so these guys can take some pictures of us. We'll stand up next to you. So I'm not going to do your story justice. So do you want to tell these people what you did for this nice young man at a wrestling tournament? Just step up here.
So, it was my last match of the day, and this kid was special needs, and I kind of just went out there and let him kind of just win, and yeah, kind of forfeited my first place opportunity and took third down there, and so yeah.
Pretty humble kid. I had people reaching out to me from all over the state, and we couldn't find a video. Alex Cabrera was going to put him on KSL, and they said that they couldn't find a video anywhere, but we wanted to make sure we recognized him. He's got great parents, happen to be related to him. They're still great. So I'll tell you what, they don't make any better kids than somebody that'll do that. So we went from gold to silver, right?
Bronze.
Bronze. So with this, we wanted to recognize you from our county for being such a good representation. So thank you. I think we got plenty of pictures. So did you get plenty of pictures? Okay, we're good. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
That's awesome.
I should get an award for not crying through that It was close.
You were
Couple
close.
times.
You were close.
We need more sportsmanship nowadays.
Yeah, we need more stories, more actions like that. So, thank you. All right, let's see. We will move ahead. We've got a couple of, we got a public hearing at 5:15, so we'll keep working down the agenda, and then we will open that at that time since it's been noticed. So, Annie, do you want to take the exchange? And we can talk about that.
Yeah, it's related to the public hearing, so I'll just review the disposal of surplus real property. The county strongly favors, as a matter of policy, the careful consideration of matters involving the disposal of surplus real property owned by the county. Every sale, lease, encumbrance, or other conveyance of surplus county-owned real property shall be made by the county commission. The Box Elder County Planning Commission shall review all proposed sale, leases, and conveyances of any kind of surplus properties and make recommendations to the Box Elder Commission. All such sales, leases, and conveyances shall conform to the Box Elder County General Plan and Land Use Management and Development Code and all other county ordinances and policies. The Planning Commission shall submit their recommendation, which they've done. And before any sale, lease, trade, or other conveyance of the surplus real property owned by the county commission shall hold the public hearing, which will take place today. The surplus property that's being proposed are the two parcels on Forest Street owned by Box Elder County in exchange for the parking lot parcel on First South
And First East.
First East. I have to know which direction we're going. And so that will be, we can't approve the exchange until after the hearing because we have to make them surplus parcels first, and then we can do that part.
Okay, that's good for the background on that. Let's do the same thing with the information on these ag protection areas.
You want me to talk that?
Yeah,
We have two ag protection areas, and they're both actually in West Brigham City area. They're just different applicants. We have gone through all the process of sending out the letters for a 15-day comment period, as well as being published in the paper and in 5 different locations. And then it was reviewed by the board, which is made of the conservation districts and also the planning commission. And then we sent out a letter to all the people who live with or have property within 1,000 feet to invite them to come to the public hearing if they wanted.
Okay.
So all the steps have been taken that are required by code to this point. So
very good. Okay. Yeah, we've still got a few minutes before these public hearings, so we'll just keep on moving. Let's see, Jeff Monk. Is Jeff here? You want to come up, Jeff? Yeah, if you'll just state your name for the record and.
My name's Jeff Monk.
You can just.
Yeah, you can grab it.
You want?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bet.
My name's Jeff Monk. I was coming with, had an issue. My land that I purchased to build on is in Box Elder, but the road is in Cache, so that makes for a very big hullabaloo, apparently. My builder had initially contacted the Box Elder Fire Marshal because he had approved the build with a reservation of I'm not allowed to have or move in basically until we resolve kind of what's going to happen with this kind of stuff. The fire marshal had called his Cache County counterpart and asked about doing MOE agreement.
MOU, yeah.
Or MOU, that's the one. The guy just flat said no and ended the conversation. So I've been trying to figure out what to do about it. I left a whole bunch of voicemails with the fire department there, and eventually someone called me back. He says he doesn't know why they would say no other than they just want compensation for covering us, I guess. Which I later found out that an MOU could encapsulate as well, potentially, if that's what they wanted. So they said that they were going to meet, they have a fire board meeting next week where they were going to discuss covering me, but he says he doesn't understand why they wouldn't because they cover everyone else on the road. So I talked to Cache County, the treasurer, I believe, and he said that another option would be making me a special services district, but that sounds like it's maybe kind of a weird thing to do for this when potentially an MOE would, or an MOU would cover it. So I just was coming to see what we could do or something like that to
Do you
help.
want to let Corey come up? And
Thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
he was already.
You got any
granted.
background on this, Mr. Barton?
Yeah, the problem with the
You
parcel.
need to
Come on up.
here. I've seen the same thing happen in Weber County. Just pull up a chair, Corey.
Okay, yeah, great. And I've worked with Mr. Monk quite a bit through this. The problem with it is the parcel has a Cache County address. So we were initially trying to get a Box Elder County address assigned to it, and they weren't able to do that through GIS or anybody else because it's a Cache County road. You've got to go in through Cache. Every other house along that street is Cache County, and then it breaks into Box Elder County, and that's where his parcel is. And then the road turns and actually goes back into Cache on the one side of it.
Is this in
again.
Collinston?
Huh?
I mean,
It's between Petersboro and Beaver.
Beaver Dam.
Yeah,
It's just there off that, okay.
yeah, you go up Highway 30 to just into Cache and then head north. So the problem with it is our dispatch center will not recognize a Cache County address. When I talked to Chief Hammer before, he's going, no, it's Cache, it's Box Elder County, we don't want anything to do with it. But apparently they're working out an MOU with them, so I think that would be a great way to go. I said, we'll go ahead and let you get billed, but we've got to get this resolved one way or the other.
It
So,
sounds like the MOU is probably the simplest solution, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was just thinking the MOU would be, you take care of it and we're not going to do anything for you, kind of a thing, but it sounds like we can maybe work out something where the portion of my taxes that would normally go towards EMS could maybe be redirected through the MOU.
Yeah, or they may just charge you an annual fee.
I actually asked them if they could, and they
Okay.
said specifically no. we
Okay.
can't.
Because
I
it
was
would
like,
have to
I
be the
will
special
pay.
service district.
To set up a special service district is going to be a little bit more difficult.
Oh, yeah,
For one
for one
home.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's just one of those weird oddities. It's a little.
How close are you to ASI? Because we'd like to annex a little bit of that.
That's a ways.
Yeah. So anyway,
Jump over
that's the situation. If we can work out an MOU, that'll meet the needs, but I just don't know how well that's gonna work, but.
Well, I don't think that we would have any problem with an MOU from our standpoint,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it makes sense, because Cash would be the responding agency.
Yeah.
Because it's on that road and they're responding to everybody else.
Yeah,
And technically, it's their address, even though it's,
in
yeah.
our county.
And
That's
that's where
interesting.
it's gonna go to the cash dispatch, and they're gonna dispatch out somebody else rather than try and carve out one house on an entire street.
If there's anything we can do to facilitate this as far as
Yeah.
helping you out, why, it sounds to me like it's
well,
pretty
and
much in
you
their
would know
hands.
their fire marshal. I mean,
Yeah.
is it something you guys have already had conversations? and
We,
it's in the
I
works?
have,
All right.
I'd met with Chief Hammer before, and it was kinda like, it's in Box Elder County, we don't, but apparently it sounds like they're working out something. so.
I ended up getting a hold of someone else.
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah.
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 And he said that he would bring it up, and he's like, I don't know why we wouldn't do that, so I don't know.
All right.
You just let us know and we can get it on the
Yeah.
agenda if we need an MOU approved, so.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll get her done.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have our support on doing it. That
Okay.
makes the most sense. So let us know how we can help.
Yeah,
All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Never
Yeah.
seen one like this before.
thanks.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
it's 5:15 there, big boy.
Okay,
Almost.
we will open the public hearing on the exchange of parcels 03105, 0061, and 03105, 0063. If anybody would like to speak specifically to the exchange of these parcels, please come up at this point, and please limit your comments to just a couple of minutes.
Well, I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want me to give a little bit more background while we're even doing this?
Sounds like.
And he
good
did a
idea.
great job of explaining the surplus property
Right.
procedure, but now you can say what the
Exchanges.
reason is.
So I think we've had these property in the county's hands for the last 30, 40 years that we know of. And since they're going to build an overpass over on Forest Street, Brigham City needs some more of the property to be able to get businesses and homeowners in and out. And so when they came to us and we're looking at for some of those land, they took some of it, what, about 6 months ago for just some frontage property?
Easements, yeah.
Yeah.
For easements.
For a year.
And it just made sense. The county has actually bought the old America First building that they're turning into not only the DMV, but also our Bear River Association of Governments building. So it'll be closer to a bus stop and such. Well, come to find out, Brigham City has a parking lot right there that they have no idea why they have a parking lot. But so we just kind of went to Mayor Vincent back at the time and just said, hey, would you like to trade some ground around so we can help you and help us and in the future? And now what, a year later, at the speed of government, here we are to make sure that we still have some good parking on this side of the street and that these merchants keep that property into perpetuity, that they'll be able to park in that. I have never seen so many cars in my life on peach days back there in that parking lot. So, but if you take the DMV from over here at the Justice Court and put it over there, they're going to need more parking also.
So IT's going over there too. So.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
kind of the gist behind it.
Good explanation. Okay.
There should be 2 copies of the agreement for your signature, and then I'll get those to Brigham City for their meeting tomorrow.
All right. Any other questions or discussion on the exchange?
On approving these, do we need separate motions for each one? Annie?
No, just one motion.
Okay.
Should be fine.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the exchange of parcels 03-105-0061 and 03-105-0063.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. We've still got a few minutes before the public hearing for the ag protection, so we will keep moving. Let's see. Request improvements to 5,000 West in Grand Haven subdivision. Do you know anything about that, Mr. Lyons?
Through the grapevine, I guess you could
Okay.
say.
Is this individual here? It's Mr. McAnally? I don't know that we have any,
Does Darren,
The Grand Haven subdivision's in Bear River City,
oh, okay, now I know.
Okay.
and the 5,000 West, half of it's in Bear River City, the half that fronts where these lots are, and the other half is in the county. And it specifically says on the subdivision plat that no access from 5,000 West to these lots. They're restricted lots. The access is restricted until the full road is dedicated and improved.
So have them come up.
this is the one that you spoke to me about, and if I remember right, the petitioner is asking that the county improve the road.
That's just what I've heard.
Okay.
I actually haven't spoken with the petitioner.
If I remember right, that was kind of the gist of it, and quite frankly, that's something that we just simply don't do.
Yeah, I mean,
If-
his lot has frontage on an existing improved road that was intended to be used as access to the lot upon approval of the subdivision.
But if they're building out the rest of the subdivision, it would have to be widened and improved because it's accessing more than just his property.
Eventually,
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, and that's simply something that we don't do. We're not in the development business. We don't develop roads for subdivisions. They happen organically and they develop those roads, and that's part of the development process. So if he's not here, I guess,
Well, we're 20 minutes early. I don't know if he,
okay,
No,
we
we're
can,
done
we can
together.
check back
Okay,
and see
hold
if he comes in. So there may be some additional information there.
Darren, didn't you get some calls on this, McFarland? Didn't you get some calls on this?
I did, and I kind of told him the same thing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Do we have Ben Nadolski here?
I don't see Ben.
I don't either.
He's bringing money. He probably wants to come late.
Wyatt Freeze?
There's Wyatt.
There we
All
go.
right. We have a winner.
I about didn't recognize without his hat. You're like me.
Okay, so I'm just bringing a grant agreement.
If you'll just state your name for the record, for the
Yes,
recording.
My name is Wyatt Freeze,
Thanks,
Box Elder
sir.
County Weed Department Supervisor. And this grant agreement is just between us and UDAF, outlining payment to us for work done in fiscal year '23 for rush skeleton weed, the treatment of rush skeleton weed, for the amount of $89,600. So this is a grant that we've done for the past 10 plus years. So we're just,
Ever since I've been here.
yeah, just repeating it, continuing on it.
What's the due date on that?
So it's a reimbursement, and it is between, we have to have
look at
payment
this.
between the
Okay.
30th of
Okay.
June 2023.
All right.
Okay.
Any questions?
No. I'm just
Okay.
making sure that the attorney's office looked at it and they said yes. So I'd make a motion we approve the UDOT Department of Agriculture Food Grant Agreement 22-12.
Second?
Have a motion by Commissioner Summers, a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Yeah, thanks, Wyatt.
Good to see you.
It's a big help. All right, 552, that has been taken off. It's a good thing. Mr. Lyons, might have to interrupt you here at 525 for just a second or two.
Okay. All right, first item I've got is the B&R subdivision, Phase 2. This is just a, I guess, Lot 2. Phase 1 was one lot. This one is a second lot. It's located at 4783 North, 3600 West. It is a single lot, like I stated. It's just over half acre in size. It's been reviewed and approved by all applicable departments and comes to you with a recommendation of approval.
Okay. Any questions on that one, gentlemen?
Don't.
I don't have any.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve the B&R subdivision Phase 2.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
This one's going to be some discussion. I don't know if you want to jump into it right now. Then have to jump back out of it.
Want to skip over and
Yeah.
go to your next one?
525. You got 2 minutes.
You can start into it.
Start into it.
If I have to interrupt you for
Okay.
3 seconds, we'll do it.
So the request here is a zoning map amendment from the R120 zone to the MPC zone. MPC is a master planned community zone. The request is for approximately 75 acres to switch from that zone. It's located in the South Willard area of the county. And you should have gotten info regarding it. The master plan community zone essentially is a zone and a development approved at the same time. Normally, when you switch zones, you'll switch, let's say, from like a 5-acre zone to a 2-acre zone. If it's approved, they'll come back later with a development plan for the, 2-acre lots. This one, the master plan community zone, the development is negotiated at the same time as the zoning, and approved with a development agreement. So it's a little more complex of a scenario. The request here is for those 75 acres to include approximately 250 units. So
I think 144 of them are townhomes, and the remainder would be single-family, third-acre lots.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing for our ag protection area at this point, and we'll take input on that in just a second.
You want me to keep rambling here?
Keep
or-
going, yep.
Okay. So there are a couple requirements for this MPC zone, eligibility requirements. And as this went through the planning commission, there are five specific eligibility requirements. As this proposal went through the planning commission found that it met only 3 of the 5 eligibility requirements. So with that being said, they forwarded a recommendation of denial. So really at this time, the county commission can take that recommendation and move forward with that, or they can look at those 5 eligibility requirements, and if you determine that this proposal meets all 5 of those eligibility requirements, then my recommendation at that point would be that the project isn't ready for approval. There's a lot of negotiating still to be done as far as the development goes, but it would be to tell the developer, okay, we feel that it meets all 5 of those eligibility requirements. We're going to motion that the project be tabled and that you start working with staff on the rest of the things that need to happen. So that's kind of where we're at today, is either it meets the eligibility requirements, we're tabling it, work with staff, or it doesn't meet the eligibility requirements, we're taking the planning commission's recommendation and denying the project.
And this is the one that we just changed to be able to make sure that if they have sewer available, right?
Yeah, that was the first of the 5 eligibility requirements. At the time, it previously required 100 acres to be eligible for the MPC zone. The text amendment at that time amended the first
50.
eligibility requirement. So if you had 50 acres and were using sewer, then you were eligible. So as far as that one goes, they do meet that.
Okay.
The Planning Commission's findings is that they didn't meet eligibility requirement 2 or eligibility requirement 4.
One was something about unique features.
Yeah, so number two that they felt it didn't meet was demonstrate in textual, visual, and oral form to the Planning Commission and the County Commission that the property in question is unique due to size, slope, natural features, sensitive lands, natural hazards, current land uses, and other relevant features, or that difficult hardship-related conditions exist. And then the second one they didn't feel it met was number 4, which states that the development is to offer unique advantages over traditional forms of development as determined by the Planning Commission and County Commission. So they felt that there was nothing, the Planning Commission didn't find that there was anything unique about the property pre-development, and they also didn't find that anything about the proposed development was unique or had any advantages over traditional forms of development. So that's where their recommendation came from.
Okay, I've heard a little bit on this, the reports. I was out of town that night and wasn't there in person. The developer, did they respond to those? I mean, obviously they would have been okay on 1, 3, and 5, but did they respond to 2 and 4 if?
So he hasn't responded to me in writing, but he was preparing a response to provide to you this evening.
Okay.
So he should be
And
here. I haven't seen him yet, but
He just said, oh, something, I got stuck in traffic. It says 17 minutes. So that's probably, I don't know.
yeah. So
He's
there, I
texting
mean,
me
on
right
their
now.
original application, he had statements addressing those two items, and the Planning Commission didn't feel that that the statements he made offered enough reason.
Well, we've got plenty of other stuff we can probably do. And then see if he makes it here, then he can
Okay,
come and talk to us.
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, we'll wait. I mean, we're waiting on Ben as well. Ben is not going to make it tonight. Just received a text. family first. I think he's coaching a softball game, so he was thinking it was the 18th, and so he'll be there.
No, just put it back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. So we'll hold off a little bit and see if the developer can come and bring him back. So, let's see.
Do you want me to hop off and you can do your public hearings and?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that quick.
Okay.
Okay, so the public hearing is open on the proposed resolution for the two different ag protection areas. If anybody would like to offer any comments on that, please come forward. State your name and
Specific to.
So I'm Bonnie Robinson. My neighbors and I, a bunch of us, are worried about Brigham's development that they want to do on West Forest Street. And so would like to put our property in Ag Protect. And so I'm here kind of speaking for all of them. And they would appreciate your approving that. So,
let's
Thank
see. And so that one, you're on the first one, the 2204.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They just didn't all get their stuff to me quick enough to put them all together.
Oh,
But
you're fine.
it's all good. I think there's one more coming. I have another neighbor who's picked up paperwork from me. And so
Okay.
They filed it the other day.
So would they be a
Mark-
separate
Mark-
area, or would they
Yeah, so there'll be
annex
another-
into this one?
It'll be a separate ag
Okay.
protection.
But it'll be the same area.
Yeah, same area.
So
Okay.
Brigham doesn't offer an ag protection, so we're a little concerned about development. And people love ag till they move there, so we're just trying to protect ourselves.
Okay.
So I'd appreciate your positive.
And I don't know if you've listened to us the last time, but we were actually trying to make some teeth in an ag protection. And I don't know if you know this, but there's not a whole lot of teeth in an ag protection zone. It looks good on paper, and it says I'm in an ag protection zone until somebody builds next to you or does something next to you. And then, then they're like, oh, well, I don't care if it's an ag protection zone, I'm still going to complain.
Yeah, it's kind of like a buyer beware, and that's about it. And so we'd like to see it a little
I
bit
guess at least it's
stronger.
that, but
Well-
I would appreciate strong then.
Right, well, and then
Love
we're,
to
and we're
see
trying to work with our representatives to actually put some teeth to it.
Oh,
So
awesome.
would actually do something besides just, slap their hands and you end up in court. So,
That'd
And I
be
think
great.
there's really some appetite for that with the amount of
yeah.
ag area that's being
Yeah,
developed. And so I
yeah,
think,
it's really concerning.
Well, and we've put in more ag protection in the last 8 years and all the commissions in front of us, so
Yeah.
we've been
there's
able
more
to.
development. It's
It's just-
become an issue.
Well, because you hear
So-
things that happen that you don't want to be part of.
And there's industrial protection too that's out there, the same thing. So P&G and Nucor and all these other are in industrial protection zones. So kind of the same thing, but we need to do something about getting some teeth into something, so,
That'd be great.
okay.
Okay.
We'd love
Thanks,
So we have
Bonnie.
your support, I take it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Awesome.
I'll help however I can.
Okay,
Thanks, Bonnie.
thank you.
Bonnie knows about these. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second?
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any other discussion or questions on the resolutions for the two different ag protection areas?
I don't have anything.
Okay,
I make a motion we approve Resolution 2204, West Brigham City Ag Protection.
Second?
have a motion by Commissioner Summers and a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2205,
Second?
Ralph Burt, Westland Ag.
Oh, second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor? Okay, awesome. We like those. Thanks, Bonnie.
Thanks.
Okay, we will continue watching for a couple of these things on here and see if they come.
PC.
Scott, you want to come back up and we'll keep moving through community development?
All right, 5:58. Okay, ordinance 558. This is a zoning map request, so a rezone request. This one is consists of 10 acres located at 1950 North, 2800 West. So this is essentially between Brigham City and Corinne, as you're heading out to Corinne. So it's currently zoned RR20, a rural residential, 20,000 square foot zone. They're requesting that it be changed to a commercial highway zone, CH zone. This went to the Planning Commission on April 21st, and a public hearing was held. There was no one opposed to it. The Planning Commission went through the approval standards and felt that it met the approval standards for a zoning map amendment, and has forwarded a recommendation of approval. So it comes to you with that recommendation. I don't know if there are any questions on that.
It just opens up for the use that they're looking for.
Yeah. So they're particularly looking at like trucking related uses, trucks and truck tires, and the highway commercial zone. We sat down with them as they were going through the application process and looked at the different zones that applied, and it was either the highway commercial zone or the general commercial. Highway commercial was a little more limited in uses, but still included the use they were after, so they selected that as to not open it up to so many new uses. And the Planning Commission appreciated that, and comes with a recommendation approval, like I said.
Okay.
Are you on where are you at?
This is ordinance 558.
558.
606. It's all over on my, like, 558, 557, then 559 is below it. It's like,
We're tricking you.
yeah, I was just gonna say, make me pay attention. I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 558 zoning map amendment.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Summers, second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our next item, ordinance 557. So this one is a text amendment. It is amending chapter 5-1, which is our chapter regulations applicable to all zones. So specifically 5-1-290 is our section on home occupations. So the county has had, essentially we've had two separate sections of code, one addressing home occupations, one addressing home businesses, and that has proven to be somewhat problematic. The home businesses allowed for uses that were far more intense than were ever intended to be in like residential areas where homes would be. We've had things up to like 9 dump trucks, like large scale trucking, hauling gravel and things like that in residential areas. So the goal with this text amendment was to kind of meet somewhere in the middle, whereas a home occupation is something more like an accountant that does taxes out of their house. You'd have no idea that a business was actually being operated there. So the goal was to find somewhere in the middle where you could still have residential areas where people had businesses that weren't having an impact, but in the rural areas you could have, a business, maybe an agricultural operation, or someone that owns their own semi, and is able to park it at their house if they have sufficient acreage and it's not problematic within a more dense residential area type of thing. So the language, we sorted through this for quite a few months, had a couple work sessions with the Planning Commission at their meetings, and the language proposed in this ordinance is the final language that public hearing was held on it last month at the Planning Commission level. We did receive some input, and were able to do kind of a final revision, and a recommendation of approval has been forwarded to you from the Planning Commission with this final language.
And so it combines them just into one definition of home occupation instead of home business.
Correct. We've basically abandoned the home business definition and we're just calling it home occupations, and it kind of encompasses, the best we can for both residential areas and rural areas, but rural areas that still have residences and, it kind of draws a more clear line between what is acceptable in a residential area, and if it crosses that line, then it probably should be in a commercial or industrial area.
Okay, very good.
Is there a place for variances, though? I mean, I can see this being problematic in maybe some other areas, like in rural, that maybe one size doesn't fit all.
Yeah, so variances are always a thing.
Okay.
If variances are pretty strict about you have to meet certain requirements, they're actually set forth in state code, not county code.
Right.
But if the individual can meet what's needed for a variance, then,
Like the acreage and stuff,
what's that?
like the acreage and things like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of fitted into this language. If
Yeah.
there's a use that we feel is more, let's say someone has a semi or two that they want to park at their house, operate their business there, then that type of a use isn't going to be allowed in a half-acre residential zone. But that, if you've got 2 acres, then that use would be allowed because you could reasonably park those and
Because you
not
meet the criteria.
impact your neighbors, yeah. So we've kind of drawn what we hope are standards that kind of mitigate the negative effects of a more intense business, but still try and keep, people's ability to use their property without impacting their neighbors negatively.
That was my
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other?
I'll make a motion we approve ordinance 557.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield and a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
I
Aye.
should
Aye.
amend and say text amendment.
Text amendment?
I'll still
Okay.
second that.
Okay.
Very good. You got that, Marla? Okay.
Aye.
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 Sorry, I goofed you up.
Not a problem. We know what you're saying. Okay. Let's see. Where are we down to?
We are
Rezone.
on 559, another rezone.
Okay.
And just looking at this, I noticed there's one thing that needs to be changed on it. So if Marla, you'll note it in the ordinance, it says rezoning 10 acres. It's rezoning 2 acres. So this rezone is located at 8074 West Highway 83, so it's out in West Corinne. It's currently zoned RR20, rural residential, 20,000 square feet. The request is to change the zoning to the CN, which is a neighborhood commercial zone. So the neighborhood commercial zone allows for some uses that may be deemed appropriate in or adjacent to neighborhoods, such as like smaller shops. In this case, the applicant is interested in doing an event center, like a reception center. So it's located out there on the highway, headed towards the I-Call, and they're requesting that the 2 acres be changed to that commercial neighborhood zone. So this one as well went to the Planning Commission at their April meeting, April 21st. A public hearing was held. There was a couple neighbors came out in support, and there was no one in opposition. The Planning Commission went through the approval standards and found that it met those, and a recommendation of approval was forwarded to you on this request.
2 acres. Okay. Any questions?
No,
Okay.
Do we just need to pass that pending the change of the
that's what I was just gonna say.
acreage?
I can make a motion that we approve ordinance number 559 pending that correction.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Summers, a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance 560, this is another text amendment. So this one's actually adding chapter 6-3 to the county land use code. It'll be agricultural subdivisions is what the chapter will address. So the state code basically has a section that allows for the subdividing of land that is exempt from normal plat requirements. So standard subdivision, you're required to have a survey, prepare a subdivision plat. That plat is reviewed and then recorded. One of the exceptions to that platting requirement is agricultural subdivisions. So historically with agricultural subdivisions, we have had each subdivision go to the Planning Commission for approval and then the County Commission for approval. The way the language is written in the state code is it allows the legislative body, so County Commission, to approve an ordinance outlining the process of how this is to be done. And once that ordinance is approved, it can be done. So essentially staff would follow the approval standards would be exactly the same as they are now. It would basically just allow staff to go through that review and approval process. So essentially streamlines the process. So if a agricultural landowner comes in, they want to split a field in half, instead of having to wait 4 weeks to go to the Planning Commission and then 2 more weeks to go to the County Commission, they can submit it to staff. We can have the GIS department review the legal description for that split. If the legal description's good, then we can issue approval for that agricultural division. It'd be a matter of days as opposed to 4 to 6 weeks. So it kind of is, the goal of it is to adhere to state code, yet streamline the process. So this went to the Planning Commission. Again, a public hearing was held. No one was opposed to it, and they recommended approval. The one approval standard that the Planning Commission wanted to see included in this that doesn't come directly from state code is that there must be access provided to the agricultural parcels. So state code doesn't require that there be access. So one of the concerns of the planning commissioners historically as these agricultural subdivisions have come up is that, well, if this one fronts on the road and the one behind it doesn't front on the road, and then this one sells, is there guaranteed access to the back one? Generally there is, but you may have to jump through legal hoops with the other owner to ensure your access. Whereas the planning commission basically just wanted to codify that in order to have that agricultural subdivision approved, an easement would be put in place so that there weren't hoops to jump through later. It was just all new parcels had legal access to them.
Permanent instead of historical?
Correct.
I can think of about 4 or 5 in my area that if they split it up would be like that. They wouldn't have access.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are, that's the addition, the planning commission. Other than that, it's basically identical to state code as far as approval standards, and then just transfers the ability to review and approve from having to go through a 4 to 6 week process to a couple day process.
Thanks for that.
Really appreciate the work that you and Marcus and Destin do reviewing the code, and virtually every change that I've seen since I've been here has been something to make it a little bit easier for petitioners and just to streamline the process, and so that's a great move.
Yep.
Cool. Any other questions or discussion?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 559, the rezone from RR20.
I think this is 560.
This is
Or 560, yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I've been doing it all day.
Ordinance 560, agriculture subdivision.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye. Did you see Mike
Yep.
come in the back? Okay.
Okay. Mike, appreciate you being here. We moved right along faster than traffic did, so.
Did you want to sign that stuff after, or you need anything signed?
She has all the ordinances.
Okay.
I've got a plat, but
Do you want to sign that plat?
yeah, we can get it done whenever.
Yeah, let's do it right now.
You have a sticky?
Yeah.
fill out that part so I don't have to. Should I put the date?
You did catch up for that one meeting where you didn't have anything on the agenda.
We were at city council last night till 11, because I couldn't reach the ground, my feet swelled, like I've been lying in the airport. I need to take a stool tonight under the
Sheet, and you'll just replace the sheet you intended to.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your work. You've been busy.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons.
Okay, we are going to move back up to 556. This is the zoning map amendment for the MPC, the orchards. We have the petitioner here. Mike, if you want to come up. So as I understand this, correct me if or when I'm wrong, Scott, what we have before us is a recommendation of denial from the Planning Commission based on their feelings that it did not meet 2 out of the 5 eligibility requirements, specifically demonstrating unique size, slope, current land use or hardship conditions associated with that parcel. And then number 4 was unique advantages over traditional uses on that parcel.
Correct.
Okay. Mike, it's your opportunity to respond.
I'm just curious, Scott, do you remember, was the voting unanimous on those, on the criteria for those
Yeah.
2? Okay.
Yeah, it was. Well, thanks, you guys.
Bring your
His last name?
mic.
Oh,
Mike Bastian,
There
sorry.
you go.
Thanks for letting me at least come up here and talk to you guys about it. Yeah, it was those 2 items that they found that we didn't meet. I feel like we do meet those items. Question number 2, the way it's written, is really left up to interpretation. There's not a defined, you can't give a definite answer of what that looks like. I asked for several examples, and it was all over the board. And if I gave an example, it was, well, that's not unique enough, you know? And so some of the things I look at with our property, it talks about size and location, uniqueness, you know, where our property sits, where it sits at. If it were a foot lower, it wouldn't have the ability to bring the sewer line all the way to the south end of the county there, because how we've got this sewer line designed. So talking about location and size, if it were any different, that sewer line wouldn't make it to the far end of the county. To me, that's a unique feature in where it sits and how its elevation is. Another thing, I believe it's tied to the ground. I believe it makes it unique. It's one of only 3 properties. We're in a special improvement district. The county and the previous landowners entered into that special improvement district. Scott, I think it was 2008, I believe, when it started. I can't remember exactly, but it was 2007 or 8. It was signed. It was to get sewer. It was to provide sewer, not water, specifically not talking about water. That's why we went with Bear River water. Us, Parsons, and Randy Marriott's ground, to divine uniqueness. That's a unique feature. I mean, it's something that not hardly anybody has, right? And that's a unique feature to that property that's tied specifically to that property.
So then in my mind also, you're going from half-acre lots because you have septic tanks to another reason to be able to be unique from anything else around you, because you actually do have sewer. So you're able to do higher density in that area, which doesn't happen.
Absolutely, and
I don't think that addresses number 2, but I think that is the absolute perfect answer for
4.
number 4.
Right.
Yeah.
right for 4.
Okay.
But in uniqueness, talking about size, location, things like that, I do think that if you talk about elevation, I mean, that's a unique thing, right? I mean, you could argue that if it was any different, it wouldn't be what it is, and it wouldn't be able to be.
You'd have
That's
to put
unique,
lift pumps and
right?
everything else in it, yeah.
Right, like, some people would argue that a pile of rocks would be a unique feature, like a thing of rocks. To me, that's silly, right? I would, as a developer, I'm like, well, I'm losing ground here, I gotta take that baby out, you know? But that's in somebody's definition of uniqueness, right? So I think number 2 is really hard to define. I feel strongly that I do have unique features about my property, the way it sits, where its location is, proximity.
Did you show them kind of a map of everything that goes on there? Because if you have parks, you have walking trails, you have access, isn't that unique to the area also?
We did talk about that a bit, and yeah, we talked about it. And again, that's where it goes back to me being somebody's definition of unique. Unique is something that's very different than others, you know? So I feel like we meet that. Location, size, it talks about, anyway, and then to be lumped in as well with item number 4, I strongly feel we've clearly demonstrated that we meet item number 4. So to lump us with those two together kind of tells me and shows me that we really weren't listened to or given a real, a fair narrative. You know what I mean? Like they didn't really listen or look at what we were presenting, because item number 4 talks about the different types of, the different types of housing that will be provided. I'm going from memory, so I apologize if you have it pulled up, Scott.
What you put in your original application?
Yeah, well, yeah, just what the question says in number 4.
Yeah, it says offer unique advantages over traditional forms of development as determined by the Planning Commission and County Commission.
Right, and so, I mean, I develop a lot of subdivisions, and to have different types of housing types within one subdivision offers a unique thing right there. We talked with Scott, and that's where I'm really excited about talking with planning staff. We've hired a outside planner to give us some really good feedback. I don't think this is there yet. To be honest, I think I still need some work. I need to work with staff to bring you back a really clean, ready to go approval. I think I meet these 5 items to move forward. But I think I can go and work with staff, like for example, on my concept plan, the outside planner recommended there's 2 lots down in the very bottom corner of our property that really would lend to be a good parking lot for the trailhead that'll come one day, right? I think that's awesome, but without good discussion and the ability to bring that before you, like I can't, right? Because I can't have that ability to have that discussion with staff, to make changes to plan and bring you guys a really stellar master plan community, which is what this will be. So that's what we feel strongly. We do feel like we meet those 2 items that we were found to not meet because we have that interpretation of unique. And again, I think that's a hard question to be left up to somebody defining and then say, nope, that's not unique enough. Well, then what's the definition of that?
In that item number 2, how much of that comes out of state versus just being part of a county?
That's purely county.
It's just something that's with our MPC, and that's just where it's been. Okay. And we talked a little bit about that, and out of all of them, that one does seem a little bit more subjective. And so maybe that's something we ought to look at. The other 4, I mean, they make a little bit more sense. And when I look at number 4, the thing that to me is very unique about this is over traditional uses, most of the subdivision that we're seeing are quarter, half acre, or R20, kind of those, the ranchettes, the 2 to 3 acre. And so to see something like this, especially in the housing crunch where you can get a unique community that addresses some of those issues.
Well, and I think what does for the environment and things like that, that we know that, the school district has land down there for schools.
Right next to us.
And so how do you get a school down there without having sewer? I mean, I was surprised when we heard about the Willard Planning Commission when they brought this all up, and most of the farmers down there were for this kind of stuff because the plain fact that, you know, they're running out of their lifespan, they want to retire. And I'd hate to say something about, and I hate that thing unique for the plain fact of, like you said, my definition of unique might be 10 times different than,
It's, yeah, subjective.
yeah, it's subjective, so.
Well, and the last thing that kind of pushes me over the edge is if you're looking at local planning, you have the local municipality that has said, we want this here because they've granted you access to their sewer.
Yeah, sewer.
And so when we see that from a local municipality, to me, that's an endorsement of a development. Otherwise, they wouldn't have granted you the rights to the sewer.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's something we ought to take a look at there on number 2. But I mean, I really like the other things in there because I think they form an integral part of what a master plan community should be. MPC is different than a traditional subdivision. Those are kind of cookie cutter. They're all approximately the same
Absolutely.
lots. This is a different animal.
I like the fact that you admitted that there needs to be a little bit more refinement with it. And I wouldn't be opposed or wouldn't have a problem with
Oh, I'd like
forwarding this or
yeah.
approving it under the
Let's see.
guise that you sit down and say, well, what can we change? What do you want to meet that criteria more, and have that discussion with them?
Well, that's exactly what you were talking about, Scott, that there's still some negotiation on the development agreement and then what it's going to look like as far as open space, trails, and everything else before the actual MPC is.
Yeah, so kind of what I said earlier, essentially, the two options are, you don't find that it meets these 5 eligibility requirements, you motion to deny. You find that it meets the eligibility requirements, and then you would motion to table, and then it would come back after some refinement for, potentially for approval. If the refinement essentially is a negotiation between the county and the developer, if it can't be negotiated, then the county still has the ability to deny the rezone. All you would be deciding this evening is whether you feel like it's eligible or not.
Under the MPC change that we made in code. Okay.
It's like you're in a round 15 of the heavyweight fight. And
Good thing I used to fight, so I'm used to it. We're good.
I mean, we're talking, this has been going on since 2008.
Yeah, it has been.
This round hasn't been going on quite that
No,
long.
no, it
All
hasn't
right.
been too bad.
Any other questions for Mike?
I think he's answered the
Scott?
questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'd make a motion that we do what Scott suggested as far as we table it and basically
move it back.
Yeah.
Send
And
it
let you, because, I mean, it's so close, it's like, why wouldn't you try and see if you can work this out, rather than just flat out just send it away?
So just to restate your motion.
So my motion is to table it so that we can work out a negotiation on that.
Okay. So we're
option.
okay.
Is that
Basically, we're saying that it meets those 5 eligibility requirements and we continue to work
just
with
some
staff.
refinement? Yeah.
Okay.
and I'll second that motion.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
Mike.
Thank you all.
with working through it, we work with staff on working through those items, right? As
Yep.
far as like development agreement and those types of things.
Yep.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Yeah, and the budget that you presented, as
Mhm.
far as maintaining the open space
Yep.
until such time as a potential, municipality would
Yep.
run it as a park,
Okay.
to me, was invaluable. Because if they're granting sewer, it's more than likely eventually going to be part of a municipality and not unincorporated. So
I would agree.
that was great.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right,
That's what happens when you miss a week.
Darren. Road maintenance.
Good afternoon,
You got to
everyone.
state your name.
How are you?
Darren McFarland, Road Supervisor. I come to you tonight to just go over and review the road maintenance project that we have bid out and awarded for 2022. That map in front of you. Both projects are on 6800 West or Iowa String Road. One is on the north end of of Iowa String. It will go from the county city limit going south to 6400 north. That's the hay plant road. This is a microsurface project. A microsurface was designed for rut fills. That's what we're going to use it on for Iowa String. That stretch of road, we have some pretty good wheel ruts from the heavy truck traffic. We bid this out and had three people bid it. The contractor selected was not the low bid. They bid the wrong equipment. So we had to throw out the low bid and go with the second place bid. So the company that will be doing this project is Geneva. The second project is south of the Thiokol Highway, running from 2400 north in West Corinne south to 1600 north. The road department started this project last year. It's kind of a two-phase project where we're going through rotomilling the existing pavement, regrading, doing some drainage work, and widening the road and raising it some. So about halfway in the middle is where they stopped what they call a double chip seal that we performed last year. And from that point, we'll pulverize it. Our road crews will do the grade work and prep. And LeGrand Johnson was a low bid this year for that project. They'll come in and pave it. The north end is, we tentatively planned for the middle to end of May, but it is temperature driven. We want 50 degrees and rising in the AM. So far we haven't had real good days, which I'm not complaining. Cool weather and rain's helping everybody. But probably by the end of May, I'm thinking, the north end, that will have good traffic control. They'll have pilot cars to help with traffic where that's heavy traffic road. Should be able to do it in 3 days. They think on a good, if it goes smoothly, they might be able to complete the whole project in 2 days. So they'll do about 5 miles of wheel rut filling in 2 days or 3. On the south end, it's slated to pulverize May 23rd, and we'll take 3 or 4 weeks for our crews to do drainage work and prep subgrade for the new pavement. And tentatively, June 27th is when LeGrand Johnson will come back in and do a 3-inch overlay. Any questions?
What has inflation done to this since we bid it out? I mean, I remember the double chip seal and what it cost. So what's inflation done for this now?
Well, just in our fuel costs alone, I was looking just to operate our equipment. In September, we were paying $2.20 a gallon, and our last bill we were $4.86, I believe.
100% increase in 1 year.
Yeah, in 6 months.
6 months.
And I don't know if it's going to stop. I do have a little concern with our chip seal projects this year. I may have to reduce them some because oil prices affect our chipping oil.
And I think that's one thing about Darren. He's very concerned about this. You know, he says that the county's done a really good job of keeping up on chip seals and does stuff. And if we have to forego something for a year because the prices are too high, the money might be spent someplace else or just left sitting there. So
I'm sure you have your projects ranked too to what's most vital.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, if we're able to do chip seals, we have five projects that are ranked high.
Okay.
But they've done a really good job on the chip seal projects in the past, and we have a lot of good roads.
So I just wanted to interject that if there are agreements or contracts related, we haven't yet reviewed those, as far as I know.
Oh, okay. We'll get those to you.
Okay. And they can approve it pending.
Yeah.
legal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that,
I don't have any questions.
Okay. No, that's great. Thanks for the update. This is cool.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Darren.
thanks, Darren. So if you want to bring them back and let us approve them like next go around in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Okay.
Jenica, a couple policy changes.
So I'm going to kind of jump around on this policy 7 and do it in reverse. There's 2 parts on policy 7 that we need to address. The first one is because the state legislature passed House Bill 449. That bill states that we need to provide bereavement leave for parents of, would-be parents of a woman who has a miscarriage or a stillbirth. So that would mean that we would provide 3 days of pay in those situations for both the pregnant woman and the partner or spouse. So there's specific language directly from that bill that we put into policy so that it matches exactly. So that's the first change. The other change that may require some discussion is under section 7.5. And this is the Juneteenth discussion. Annie sent an email to you guys. We have a couple of departments who work directly with the state and are unable to do their jobs if the state is closed. The state has approved the holiday. The federal government has approved the holiday. 14 counties and counting are approving the holiday. There are multiple cities who have approved the holiday. So we just need to decide what we're going to do. So we had been talking about waiting to see what the state decided. Multiple departments have reached out to me in the last couple days saying, hey, what are we doing? The DMV specifically reached out today and said, hey, if the state's closed, we can't do our job. So we put it in the policy just as a draft for you. And if you would like to approve that, that's great. If you want us to take it out, we can do that. We just need to make a decision and let employees know.
What are we seeing from the state, other counties, municipalities? Are they approving this as an additional holiday?
Yeah.
They are,
Or-
it's additional. They
So they're
didn't
not
take or.
taking like Columbus,
Nope,
one of the other ones. So it's,
they're adding it.
and I understand that, and I am not necessarily against it, but I could see this as being an ongoing problem
Right,
where you have, what would this put us at as far as recognized holidays?
14,
That's quite a few.
yeah,
That's 14 paid holidays in addition to, personal leave.
right,
And, if it continues,
right. Where do you draw the line?
you're eventually at 28 plus a month. You got people off work for 2 months, and then you really can't get the people's business done.
Right.
So,
So, I don't have a recommendation for you. If you do it, great. If you don't do it, that's great too. I just need to know what to let the employees plan for. Our current holiday schedule has been approved. It was approved the first meeting of the year. So if you wanted to add this either way, we'd be sending out a new holiday schedule. If you don't do it, nothing needs to be done except an email will be sent out saying that it was not approved.
And no, you can't wait till next year.
Yeah, sorry. Have to have an
I don't think
answer.
it's a secret. I work every day except for Thanksgiving and Christmas and occasionally New Year's if I'm watching a football game. And there are other ones, I'm not quite sure when they are, to tell you the truth.
I didn't even know what it was until you sent the email.
So,
Yeah. So it's very, very new.
yeah.
I'm actually fine with it in the fact that, it does kind of hamper us from being able to do certain things where it's not coordinated with the state.
Yeah, you'd have district court where you'd have
So-
bailiffs working and transport officers, and what are they gonna do all day?
I understand that we're hampered from the state and the federal side, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with it
Right.
coming down from another holiday.
Right.
But,
Well, you don't have a holiday in June.
well,
Just
there you
saying.
go.
That's true.
Now you do.
Well, and the policy does read exactly like the state
I'm
is
sorry.
observing it, so they did it weird. It's not always June 19th. If it's the Tuesday through Friday after the 19th. Like if the 19th falls in Tuesday through Friday, it goes back to the Monday.
You're not doing yourself any
I
favors
know,
here.
I know. I'm telling you, I will have to work with Chrissy directly every year to get this holiday right.
So what you're saying is
like
it has to
President's
be
Day?
on a 10th, because if it was going to fall on the 22nd, it wouldn't be a 10th, and then it's an oxymoron, and it just doesn't work.
Exactly.
So can
It's
we
messy.
pass this only if it falls on the 10th?
Well, resolution will make it fall on the 10th. Legal will love that one.
Let's make this more
Gonna
complicated.
beat this dead horse to death.
Yeah,
They didn't
so
do that in middle school.
Wow.
it
All
does
right.
read that in policy though, so as drafted.
I know you've passed some things under duress before. Yeah. Remember.
This would be one of them. That would be my vote, is that this just be capped. And I mean, that's it. This would put us at 14.
14.
I mean, I think that's more than reasonable. I think you get any more than that, and pretty soon we're going to be celebrating individual President's Days, and we're going to be celebrating other individual things. And not that they don't deserve to be celebrated, but I don't know that necessarily needs to be
Paid
an
day off.
observed paid day off.
Right.
Because, I mean, what happens to somebody that comes in that day and says, hey, I'd kind of like to register a vehicle? Well,
It's a holiday.
come in on the 20th, it's not a 10th.
Yeah. Well, and then we had the whole issue of what happens when they come and we need state support, and then we have to tell them to come back anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no good answer.
All right.
Problem, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guess I won't be making the motion, but I'm still here.
You can make the motion. I'll second it. Doesn't taste good in my mouth.
I'll make a motion that we approve the policy 9 change. Is that it?
It's
7.
Or Policy 7 change.
7.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadfield, a second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then my
Aye.
other one is a lot easier.
Light eye.
So we had some issues come up with our employee committee. We don't have representation from every single department in the county, and policy required that. So the attorney's office and I have worked together to come up with a draft that says that the employee committee may have members from every department.
Instead of shall.
Shall is gone. And then the other thing it says, I don't know if you're aware, the budget was under the HR budget before for this committee, and that's been removed. So there's no one overseeing, there's no department head or elected official overseeing the budget right now. I'm not sure exactly why it was removed. I just found out also that it was removed.
I think it ought to be in the HR budget.
It's kind of a nightmare.
Let's take it from HR.
Yeah, so the policy as drafted states that the commission chair will approve all budgetary items.
Like I said.
So, like I said, it's an easier policy.
Do you know the approximate expenditures on that?
It's only $7,000 or $8,000 a year. I mean, it covers the summer party, it covers the couple luncheons that we have a year as employee
Miscellaneous.
appreciation. We just felt that someone needed to approve those budget items and projects so that it doesn't just drift off into space.
So if we were going to do that, it would be under the commission, and we would just need to change the line item from the HR to
Yeah,
commission.
it's already out of my budget. I don't
Okay.
know where they put it. I don't know if Nate and Shirley know.
Who took it out?
Floating somewhere.
Tom
Tom?
Tom took it with him.
Tom took it with him?
took it somewhere.
Okay.
So,
Well, as soon
yeah.
as we find it, I guess let's figure out.
I don't
where
have
it
a
is.
problem with that, as long as Chrissy doesn't. I mean, I know Chrissy's kind of intimately involved in a lot of these activities anyway,
Yeah.
so. It's not what I heard. Wow. Well, maybe that's a good reason to get it in there. We need your smiling face at these events.
Okay.
So yeah, those are basically the only changes to the whole policy.
It's no worse than video shoots.
I'll make a motion, we approve policy 9 change.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Summers, a second by Commissioner Hadfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Jenica.
Have you
thank
got-
you.
Yeah.
Have we got a closed session? Oh, that's a closed session.
No, it's not. It doesn't qualify.
Annie, did you have anything for a closed session tonight? Okay.
You might make it to pick up all yet.
I have a real brief one.
Oh,
Closed session?
Yeah. Just to follow up on one we had before.
okay.
On which category does it fall into?
It would be under employee
Personnel?
personnel, yeah.
Okay.
Is that what we think?
We need to, oh, he's signing them.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't see the green folder.
And then did you need to call 9B again to see if that person's here?
I don't see anybody new.
Okay.
Well, then I'd make a motion to go into a closed session to talk about personnel.
Second?
Okay.
We'll
You just
take a
said that
vote here
wrong.
shortly.
Knock it out really quick.